Breaking tonight on the battle between Israel and Hamas, the White House has now joined the United Nations and countries around the world condemning a rocket attack that hit a UN-run school in Gaza earlier today. At least 16 people were killed, including innocent children. A White House spokesperson today saying, quote, Israel needs to do more to live up to its own standard to limit civilian casualties. Haris Safar is national spokesperson for Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA, and he is author of Demystifying Islam, Tackling the Tough Questions. And Brigitte Gabriel is founder of ACT for America, and she experienced being used as a human shield herself by the Palestinian Liberation Organization when she was a child living in Lebanon. We begin first with Haris Safar. Haris, thank you for being here. And so I want to ask you, obviously this is a terrible attack on this school, and now the UN has said that Israel is responsible, although Israel says it's still investigating. The truth is, however, that they have found Hamas's rockets in at least 3 UN schools. And so Israel is turning around and saying, we're investigating, but even if this was an inadvertent hit on a school, Hamas has only itself to blame.
Well, Megan, this latest incident with the UN school is just another example of, unfortunately, a growing list of reckless attacks on civilians. And with 1,400 Palestinians now dead, in just a span of 3 weeks, hundreds of whom are women and children, then we need to collectively say that we need to reevaluate the strategy, because beyond this blame game, the rhetoric of the blame game, lies something a lot more precious: human life, dignity, self-respect. And if we keep doing the same thing every few years and hope that we'll have a different result at a different time, that's a textbook definition of insanity. So that's why we are, instead of getting involved in the blame game as the Ahmadiyya Muslim communities, Muslims who believe in that Messiah, what we're calling people towards is through peace, to stop this violence, to come together to a dialogue. That's the only way we're going to come.
But Israel's position is that if they back off now, if they allow this, what they view as a propaganda war by Hamas, to win, it's only going to encourage them, a group that does use civilians as human shields, to do more of that.
Well, both sides, Megan, justify their actions with arguably the same type of rhetoric and same type of credibility.
Israel does not use civilians as human shields.
Well, let's be perfectly clear here. To give me an opportunity to be perfectly clear, the Hamas rockets need to stop immediately. So I absolutely condemn the rockets that are being sent. But to think that this is a conflict with Hamas is to think that this is a 27-year conflict, which is a juvenile view of the situation. This is a conflict that's been going on for 65 years. And so, and if we keep going down the same path that we have for decades...
Harris, speak to the human shields, because, I mean, we have video of Hamas using children as human shields. There's no question that they do it. And so how are we as Americans supposed to look at these, look, here it is, supposed to look at these situations and say, oh, it's all Israel, as opposed to Hamas putting these children in harm's way?
Well, fortunately, the two of us that are talking right now, neither of us are saying that it's all Hamas or all Israel. We take a lot more adult, mature view of this. Hamas using women and children as human shields, condemnable, reprehensible acts. But to think that the 1,400 Palestinians that have been killed, that you can claim all of those are due to human shields, we know that's not true. This UN school, if it's proven to be true, the 4 boys on the beach, we have plenty of incidents to know that there are innocent women, innocent children being killed, being massacred, not because of any human shield, but because this view that we need to win this offensive, and that's simply not going to be the case. And that's not the way to resolve this issue. We're calling for a diplomatic solution to bring everyone together.
Haris, thank you. Joining me now for the other side, Brigitte Gabriel, author of the New York Times bestseller, Because They Hate. Brigitte, thank you for being here. And so your response to Haris, as a person who was actually used when you were a child as a human shield by the Palestinians, your thoughts?
The Palestinians have perfected using children to win the world's sympathy, and this goes back 30 years. I, as a child, between 1975 and 1976, was used as a human shield in my bomb shelter. We were 9 children hiding in a bomb shelter. My mother went out and begged the Palestinian leader, who parked his cannon. They used to park their rocket launchers in front of our homes, launch at Israel, fully knowing that when Israel retaliates, we're going to make the evening news. news, and they would move their rocket launcher from home to home, fire one rocket in front of each home and move away. When Israel retaliated, actually it hit one of my neighbors' home, and the mother was wounded along with the two children. And guess what was on Lebanese television that night? People wounded because of Israel, and Lebanon television was saying, look how horrible the Israelis are. They are killing children. The Palestinians have perfected the propaganda war. They cannot win militarily against Israel, so what they do is they use their own children as disposable collateral in order to win the war of public opinion against Israel.
You know, tonight they are taking heat, Israel is, because the UN claims that it gave Israel 17 times the coordinates of this school that was hit. And the suggestion seems to be that Israel has gotten reckless with civilian lives in Gaza. Your thoughts on it?
Israel is always careful with civilian lives. Israel goes out of its way. What other country drops leaflets by the thousands warning civilians to leave because they're going to bomb in 48 hours? What other nation gives such notice? They do it in Lebanon. They do it with Hezbollah in Lebanon during the war. They do it with Hamas in Gaza. If the civilians do not leave, we need to ask why. Why are the civilians not leaving fully knowing that within 48 hours their homes are going to be bombed? Let's also not forget, Megan, that of all the rockets that Hamas launched at Israel, over 100 rockets fell short into Gaza, fired by Hamas. So all the casualties that Hamas is talking about are not exactly Israeli casualties or because of Israel. It's because the Palestinians do not value the lives of their children, and they are willing to sacrifice their children in the cause of jihad.
Oh, and I should point out that Israel does question some of these numbers in terms of the deaths thus far on the Palestinian side. Brigitte, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, the Kelly File